Romeo Delight, the ultimate Van Halen tribute band, playing all the hits from the David Lee Roth era, first classic 6 albums, plus deep cuts, some of which have never been played live before by the band. They even throw in popular tracks from the Sammy Hagar era and solo hits. The most viewed Van Halen tribute band on YouTube, Romeo Delight, doing customized recreations of staging, instruments, and costumes from the classic Van Halen era. They even perform entire Van Halen albums in sequence. Romeo Delight plays theaters, casinos, summer indoor and outdoor festivals, and special events. They're also available for private parties. To contact them, call Bud Blanche at 215-704-5144. That's 215-704-5144. Or via email at sonicparade1@yahoo.com. Romeo Delight, the ultimate Van Halen tribute band.
Hi, this is Brian Young, formerly of the David Lee Roth Band, and you're listening to Dave and Dave Unchained.
Check out the new podcast, The Rock Quarry, your place to hear in-depth interviews with some of rock's most colorful characters, with your host, entertainment journalist David J. Criblay. The Rock Quarry is available for free on Spreaker and iTunes. You can check us out on Facebook at The Rock Quarry Podcast, on Twitter at Rock Quarry Pod, on Instagram at The Rock Quarry Podcast, or email us at therockquarrypodcast@gmail.com.
Kids, where's your father?
He left a note. If Van Halen calls, tell them they rule.
What?
Did they call?
Peter, what are you doing?
I did what you wanted. I went to the library and I got 1984. What a book!
Peter, I'm not okay with this new Van Halen phase of yours.
Yeah, Dad, it's crazy.
All right, Dave, you know what time it is.
All right, you ready? I'm ready this month.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh, good. All right. Hold on. You ready?
I'm ready.
Well, my buddy Dave, he don't want me around. He says he's tired of watching me let him down. He just wants a good mailbag. He wants only the best. But he hates disappointment better than all the rest. And he says that he thinks that I'm headed for a whole lot of trouble. Well, he thinks that I'm headed for a whole lot of trouble. Well, he thinks that I'm headed for a whole lot of trouble if I don't nail the mailbag intro.
Worth the wait. Fantastic.
All right, cool.
Wow.
All right.
You made up for it.
I had to make up for last month.
Oh, my God. Let me tell you, I'm getting excited. I might have to use that every time now.
Go for it. Go for it.
You put so much work into it. That's right, folks. It is mailbag time again. And what a mailbag we have. Holy cow. Okay, so just want to start off. Matthew Booze, letter number 1. He says here, hey guys, I always enjoy listening to your takes on various songs from the band or Dave. I have curated songs from various media and making my own albums. I would love to hear your takes on these various quintessential Dave cuts, and there's a link to the album if you haven't heard some of them. Now, interesting thing here is, Matthew, I tried to access your folder and it's not there. So I saw the set list. It looks fantastic and I'd love to talk about it. It's all these extra Dave cuts. Some haven't been released, like Mean Street Acoustic and Baker Street, and all these different cool Dave tracks are sort of unreleased. I am dying to get this, Matthew. Please. I opened up, I guess it was called a Dropbox, but there was no folder there with the song. So please resend it. I do want to say this in comments about this, though. Interesting thing about David Lee Roth is actually he's the opposite of Van Halen in the sense that he has a shit ton in the vaults. Dave has so much material in his vaults because he likes to go to Henson recording studios and record covers just for fun. So there's so many extra David Lee Roth songs that haven't been released. They really should get out there. Matthew put together this incredible folder of all these extra songs that were really incredible. And I really think Dave should put out a series of these, of volumes of these covers. I love that Mean Street Acoustic, and there's all kinds of other cool stuff in there. I think there's a Simon and Garfunkel tune on there. Really, really good stuff, Dave. What did you make of this?
Yeah, very eclectic list of songs.
Yeah.
He had there. Some legitimate released, some not. Definitely shows you the other side of Diamond Dave and how he just likes to record seemingly almost anything.
Right, absolutely. He's incredible. He really is. Letter number 2 comes from Steve Owens from Overland Park, Kansas. And he said that he thoroughly enjoyed the last episode with Greg Renoff discussing the Ted Templeman book, and he's making his way through the book, but he wants to call bullshit on something. He's very upset about discussion about the recording for Hot for Teacher. He said, until fairly recently, Eddie's sound and gear was shrouded in mystery. Ed would mislead players trying to cop his tone by making up stories about his guitar rig, including lying about using a Varick to increase the AC voltage feeding his amp. Countless guitarists destroyed their gear trying this dangerous stunt when in reality Ed was decreasing the voltage feeding his amp from a standard 120 to around 80 or 90 volts. Sorry for getting all technical on you guys, but this is one example that is easy to explain out of many. And I don't hold it against Eddie for being so secretive about his gear, but in fact the mystique was part of what fascinates me about him and the band. Ted Templeman claims that the first 5 seconds of Hot for Teacher are not Alex playing drums, but actually the recorded exhaust of Eddie's Lamborghini. As a drummer who has studied this intro intensively, I calling bullshit on this story. We all know that the Lambo exhaust was used as a great effect during the breakdown of Panama. But the intro to Hot for Teacher is all Alex on his drums. Because of this intro sounds so complex, a lot of people assume Alex recorded multiple overdubs to build the intro. In fact, it was creative use of Simmons' electronic drum pads coupled with Alex's unparalleled skill. It would be great if you could get Don Landy's take on this recording session to see if his story aligns with Ted's. I mean no disrespect to Ted, Greg, or Don, but I just can't believe this particular bit in the book. Rock on, Steve Owens. Well, Steve, I have to tell you, I agree with you. That was a mishap because, yeah, the Lamborghini exhaust was definitely on Panama. That's like a known thing. I don't know where that says that in the book. Is that what he said in the book, Dave? Do you remember that? Him talking about the beginning of... I guess he did. But
yeah, I did. Actually, I went back to his book and looked, and he did say that the Lambo was used as the intro for Hot for Teacher. Now, I wasn't there.
Right. Neither were you. Right.
Right, which is always what our favorite Van Halen manager likes to point out to us whenever we talk to him.
There, Dave?
Right. No, I wasn't. No.
Sober up! Sober up!
Right. So, admittedly, I was not there, and Ted was there.
Right.
But it does seem suspect that the Lambo would be used as the intro for Hot for Teacher. Maybe Ted was confused and thinking about the instrumental break for Panama.
Yep.
Or maybe it was thought about being used and they scrapped it from the final version. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I was always one of those people who thought the Hot for Teacher intro was multi-tracked with Alex layering things on.
Right.
I was always in that school of thought. But apparently the writer of the letter feels that it's different, feels differently in that Alex had actually did not overdub anything. So who knows? I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't there, but yeah, I'm not. Yeah. I'd bet against it. I'd bet against the Lambo was used in the intro.
Yeah,
for the
and I just think it's weird because that is just such. It's got to be Alex's most famous drum part, and to get that wrong would be really. I mean, that's like, really calling him out and saying, oh, it's really not Alex doing that. But, I mean, he does it in concert,
I don't know,
too.
Maybe it is, and it's a credit to Ted's production techniques that he was able to seamlessly weave it in with Alex's drums. Who knows?
Absolutely. Letter number 3 comes from Cactus Pete Martins, who is known as Eddie Anthony on the radio, and he is from Gilbert, Arizona. He says, hey, guys, love the podcast. Have either of you ever heard or have access to the inside with the instruments removed so all you can hear is the chatter in the background more clearly? I always thought it would be interesting to hear everything besides he just farted or Alex saying alimony, alimony, alimony. There's lots that's not clearly audible, and I think it would be cool to hear. Also, Midwest fucking Ron is correct in regards to a radio version of Right Now. I was a DJ for 95.5 WIFC in Wausau, Wisconsin. My on-air name was Eddie Anthony for obvious Van Halen fanatic reasons. Anyway, we were to play the keyboard version, not the guitar version. As my program director stated, it was more top 40 friendly. And then he goes on in his letter about how the station hired him out of broadcasting school and he got to do a break liner with Eddie and Alex where, he was saying, I'm Eddie Anthony, here's a few friends of mine, Eddie and Alex Van Halen, when he introduced Can't Stop Loving You. And it came from Cactus Pete, a.k.a. Eddie Anthony from Gilbert, Arizona. Okay, so that goes to show you for sure that was definitely a light FM sort of version of Right Now. In regards to the inside, I never heard the track without the music. I don't believe it exists. However, I'm sure an engineer with the proper mixing board could probably pull that off by stripping it away if you do the breakdown. If you listen with a good pair of earphones, though, you can hear a lot there. There's many strange things. Eddie's saying, I have a half a pair of shoes. Eddie's saying, I really thought it was going to be different this time, and it is. Sammy's saying, I came into this thing with an open mind. So they were kind of joking around about their situation.
I would love to hear the vocal-only version of that song.
Okay, yeah.
And somebody out there, there's always people out there making instrumental versions of songs by stripping the vocals. So I'm kind of surprised that nobody has done the reverse yet for this song and stripped out all the instruments to just leave the vocals. I'd love to hear that one day.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That would be interesting. And that's for sure. On to letter number 4. Greetings, Dave and Dave. Just finishing up listening to episode number 52, and I had some thoughts I wanted to share. This is a long letter, so buckle up. Oh, my God. Well, Devon Miller, man, this guy went off on a book. For sure. I know Dave's already sweating his way through it. So
let me get comfortable.
That's right.
We're gonna have to break this one down into sections.
We're gonna have to. There's no other way.
We won't remember anything but the
it's so intense. This has got to be one of the most intense letters we've ever received.
All right, let's go.
All right.
Let's do this.
Okay. The first section, he says, when you talked about Sam and Mike interview with Eddie Trunk, you mentioned how you were surprised that Mike recalled Ted Templeman talking to the band back in 1977 about bringing in Sammy Hagar to replace David Lee Roth. In the book, you thought he had just talked to Don Landy about it. Well, Alex Van Halen said in an interview in 1986 during the Van Halen Unleashed MTV special that the powers that be at Warner Brothers floated the idea of bringing Sammy in, but the band didn't find out until 3 to 4 years later. Attached is a clip. So, according to Alex's story, the book is correct. Ted didn't talk to the band members in 1977 about bringing Sammy in to replace Dave. Well, I don't know. I think Mike might have been sort of generally referencing that story. It's been a lot of years, guys. You got to remember this. And it's hard to determine who knew what when. But my guess is Ted didn't tell the band in 1977. I think Mike just referenced it as an option, but I probably didn't really closely reference it exactly when, it was said. But I don't know if, Michael didn't specifically say 1977, I don't think, but
I don't know. My guess is that nobody in the band knew that anybody at Warner Brothers was thinking of replacing Dave with Sam at the time.
That's true. And the next thing he says here, concerning the confusion on when Sammy told his wife that Van Halen was going to call him, Eddie confirmed Sammy's story in Eddie's interview number 2 file from the 1989 Van Halen MTV rockumentary. Footage is from 1986 Unleashed interviews. It is totally plausible that Ted mentioned to Sammy in passing, and Sammy tells his wife, I bet they're going to call me. And then Ed calls from Claudio's. I have never heard of an interview where Sammy says he told his wife that after Claudio called him saying he talked to Ed. Well, listen, this is so convoluted at this point. I don't know if Sammy telling his wife means anything, to be honest with you, in this story. I think Sammy asked Claudio to put a bug in Ed's ear. That's what I think, because I think Sammy's an opportunist, and Ed's easily swayed. That's what I have to say about that. What about you, Dave?
I think there's no conspiracy theory about this, and I know we have exhausted that conversation on at least one podcast, maybe another. So if we got the details slightly wrong or along the way, then mea culpa.